An electoral campaign is the name for all of the activity, action, planning, money that goes towards the goal of trying to get elected. Whether it's for president, senator, House of Representatives, governor, mayor, any election at all. You have to run a campaign. That is all the activity you're going to do to convince people that you're the one that they should vote for. And presidential campaigns by far draw the greatest amount of attention. That's the campaign that people are talking about the most with their friends, their family, their neighbors, their coworkers. It's the campaigns that people get in the most heated arguments about. And time after time after time, when surveys are done, people say, we're tired of the negativity. We're tired of seeing and hearing politicians do nothing but just slam and mudsling each other. Why can't they just tell us what they're about? What are their positions? And just defend those? Why is it that they've got to try to tear down the other opponent so much? And that's what all their time and money is put into. The people of America have made it very clear they're tired of it. And yet year after year after year, politicians keep doing it that way. Why is it that the people are being ignored here? Is it that candidates just don't care? They're ignorant? They're not interested in hearing what we have to say? Or, despite our protests, is it possible that they're giving us exactly what we want? So to be clear, negative campaigning is any kind of campaigning where the message is negative about the other candidate, the person running against you, whether it's saying they lie, or they're not very smart, or they're unqualified, or they're not good enough, or they make bad decision making. Just anything at all that makes the other person look bad. That's negative campaigning. But to understand why campaigns will do this, why politicians will craft these kind of campaigns, we have to look at how electoral campaigns are created. Well, first it starts with political party membership. You see, no one wins an election without being a member of some political party. There are exceptions, so I shouldn't say no one, but almost no one wins any kind of election. President, Senate, mayor, city representative, without being a member of some political party. Usually, but not always, usually one of the two major ones, Democrats or Republicans. But the only way that the party will accept you and support you, especially financially, is if your ideology doesn't conflict too much with the party ideology. And the main reason why a political party is going to be so concerned with the ideology of the members that are going to represent it in elections is because they have a brand to protect. Just like Walmart or Samsung or Apple, where they have brand names, and when you hear that name, you think a certain thing about them, whether it's high class, low class, quality products, cheap products. There's certain things that come to your mind, certain beliefs, certain facts even that you think of when you hear that brand name. Political parties are no different, and they know that. So anyone that's going to be running in a campaign, running for office under the name of a party, they want to make sure that they represent that party's brand name. And why do they do that? Well, the same reason why Apple and Samsung and Walmart do it is because voters will vote for a brand without worrying too much about the individuals. Political parties work on the same philosophy. The idea is we are creating a brand, and that if you trust in our brand, don't worry about the people we put up for office. Don't worry about the people that we are supporting to win elections. Just vote for the brand. Don't think about it. Don't investigate that person. Just, if you're a Republican, just vote Republican and don't worry about it. Or if you're a Democrat, just vote Democrat and don't worry about the actual people we're putting in charge. So that's the most important part in crafting your campaign, making sure that your campaign doesn't go against or contradict the party brand. Next, campaign officials, the people running the campaign, are going to study demographics. They're going to look at every state in the country, every county, every city, and see who's living where, who's Republican, who's Democrat, who's Republican but maybe sometimes votes Democrat, who's independent, they're not Democrat or Republican, where do all the Latinos live, where do all the white people live, where do we have a mix of Latinos and whites, what areas have large concentrations of people who don't speak English, where do we have large concentrations of people who are poor or rich. These are all things that a campaign looks to decide who are they going to target, because every candidate knows they're not going to get everybody to vote for them. They know there's some people that are going to vote for them no matter what. So they don't have to spend a whole lot of time putting advertisements, because they know those people in those areas are just going to vote for the brand no matter what. But then there's other areas where it's not so sure what they're going to be voting for, who they're going to like from one year to the next. Those areas are known as swing states. States like Florida, Ohio. These are states that aren't always 100% guaranteed to vote one way or another. So lots and lots and lots of advertising goes into those states, because we don't know who they're going to vote for. So we need to make sure that when they vote, they're thinking about me as much as possible, and in a good way, of course. And from there, they'll come up with a 2-year plan. Where to spend their money, how to raise their money, who to advertise to, who they don't have to advertise to, where is their candidates going to give their speeches, where are they not going to give their speeches, what is the best use of their time. Because there's no point investing a lot of time and money into an area that always votes for the brand, whether it's yours or another one. They're going to focus on the states and the counties and the cities that are hard to predict and try to convince them to vote their way this time. Now, the hard part is that elections are very expensive, because we have a massive country. We have a giant country. To be able to advertise in all these different markets and cities across this huge nation, that's extremely expensive. And on top of that, what makes things challenging for politicians is that there are a lot of limitations on how much they're allowed to accept from donators, which of course then limits how much they're able to spend. Because if you can only earn so much, then you can only spend so much. You can spend as much as you want of your own money, but you don't want to spend hundreds of millions of dollars of your own money. There's a lot of wealthy people out there who are rich, but they're not that rich. So they need donations. So that can appear to limit how much campaigns, presidents, mayors, senators are able to spend. But there are ways to get around that. For example, there are organizations known as political action committees. These are organizations that donate money to candidates and political parties. Now, that by itself doesn't get around the rules. The rules still limit how big a check they're able to write and give to a candidate, a political party, for a campaign. However, what they are not limited on is how much money they spend on making advertisements that express their feelings. So let's say you've got a PAC, a political action committee, who's donated the maximum amount of money that they can to someone running for president. But they have a lot more money they want to spend, but they're not allowed to give it to that candidate running for president. So what they can then do is take all that extra money that they want to spend, that they've raised, and make ads attacking the other person. And there's no limits on that. You can spend as much money as you want on attacking another candidate, even though you're limited on how much you're able to directly help a specific candidate, but you're still helping them, right? You're still putting money into helping them, even if you're not directly giving the money to that individual. That's known as soft money. There's no limits. It's unregulated. No one has to say who's giving the money and why they're giving the money. There's very little regulation on how soft money is spent and who has to report the kind of money that they're spending on these soft money actions. And of course, the candidates know this, so they will meet with these PACs and say, hey, if you help me out and spend so much money on this kind of issue or this kind of ad, then if I get elected, then I'll help you out in this way. buying those political action committees influence, access, guaranteed results if that person wins, which of course is why they're spending all that money to begin with, to get that influence, to get that insider access to the person who's going to eventually, hopefully in their minds, win the election. And both parties are guilty of this. This is not a Republican problem or a Democrat problem. Both major parties absolutely take advantage of soft money to win elections, which is why there's such a huge outcry for campaign finance reform, to start limiting soft money, to limit how many hundreds of millions of dollars come from just a few wealthy donors, because in effect, it's allowing a very few rich people to buy elections, buy candidates who are going to do what they want as opposed to maybe what the rest of the country wants. Because our system is supposed to be representing all of the people, not just the few rich people who can buy the most attention for themselves. But fortunately, over the last few years, starting especially in 2008 under Barack Obama's first campaign for the presidency, we have begun to see some kind of hope that we individuals, we little people, can actually compete with the big rich corporations who have tons and tons of money to invest by collectively making small donations. Barack Obama was not capable, did not have the connections of raising the same kind of money that the Republicans were able to raise in 2008, because they had a candidate who'd been in the Senate for decades. This was someone who knew all the ins and outs of making money, and he had a lot of very wealthy donors. But Obama was able to keep up with them because he figured out how to use the internet, use social media to get the message out and get small donations, usually $5 to $25 each, from millions of people that added up to huge numbers, so that even though he didn't have quite as many big fish donations, he had enough little ones to keep up with his opponent and eventually beat his opponent. We've seen more and more campaigns since 2008, because of Obama's success with this plan, start to use that kind of strategy. We saw it with Bernie Sanders, who at the beginning of the 2015 Democrat primaries had no chance at all of beating Hillary Clinton for the primary. Everyone just thought, why are you even bothering? You have no chance of winning. But he inspired so many people to give him these small donations that he almost beat Hillary Clinton for the primary. Hillary Clinton at the time was considered the queen of the Democrats, like untouchable, just guaranteed to be the presidential nominee. And unfortunately, that's actually what happened, but still, she almost lost because of the power that we the people can express with these very small donations. Just small, like $5 to $25. It's not a lot, but multiplied, it's starting to give candidates another way of raising money without completely having to sell themselves out to the super rich donators. And that's all there is to say for now about electoral campaigns. If you have any questions, please let me know in class. Thank you.